Here we are, hitting up events, drinking our way through Chicago beer, and trying not to miss a thing.
Yeah, because, got a cork popped out, boom, it flies like fucking 10 feet. We're like, yeah, let's do it.
You know, all you have to do is add some fruit, stir it up, and ride that milk-shaped wave.
Whenever I see him, I gotta take a photo with the most decorated brewer in Chicago, Jonathan Cutler.
It'll be like the stuff you hear. You ever go to, every time you go to Floyd's, all the music sounds like this. Raw, raw, raw.
Sometimes you want a small beer, but really, you want a big beer.
You gotta take in all those big aromatic hops.
Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Waiting in line for a bottle release?
You should have never been a fad. The black IPA is delicious.
Hey, and welcome to Chicago Beer Pass. I'm Brad Chmielewski,
Brad, what's up, man? I'm Nik White.
and we're going by day and by night today.
Lezak?
Lezak by day and Lezak by night.
That's a Czech for lager, Brad, in case you were wondering. Dark lager and light lager.
Right. So a Czech-style Pilsner and a Czech-style dark lager. Both of these are from Alarmist. I don't know why the light one comes in at 5.3 and the dark one comes in at 4.4.
I actually thought you would open a dark one so we could just...
Oh, I was going to have both.
I mean, that's cool too.
been that
but,
kind of day.
I mean, you know.
But
It's always that kind of day for me, Brad.
yeah, we start day, right? You got to work your day tonight,
Yeah,
right? You don't go
that's
night
fair,
today.
Fair.
Unless you're on that night shift. There you go. I picked these up at Alarmist. I was over there on Saturday. Friends hanging out, and so grabbed some beer to go. This is like their newest beer kind of from them, but they haven't had a lot of new stuff lately. I don't know what's up. They had their collaboration with Old Irving Rune Master. It was like buy one get one free.
Is that I think that's the stout.
That's the
And
stout
there's a
there.
barrelaged
So
version,
you
I
have
think.
barrel, like you have cans that you just buy one get one free.
Oh, wow.
So,
It's not a bad deal. Yeah, it's like a coffee stout. I forget who the coffee is in,
yeah, I don't remember.
but
But always good hanging out at Alarmist. I don't know, not much new to say up
kind of
there.
like your go-to, one of your go-to spots.
But it was kind of dead in there, but we had a bunch of friends there, and we filled out the place on a Saturday, and so then people started showing up later at night. But during the day, it was empty for a Saturday, which was not good for Alarmist, but good that we were there and took up the space.
Okay.
And the last couple times I've been in there, I've drank both of these beers every time, just because I think the Lezak by night 4.5%. It's like, oh, I'm going with that one.
Yeah. I'm here for a dark lager, man. It's often, it's like you said, it's often a bigger ABV. And it's often just a style that, just reminds you that lagers have a cool
But this is only
range,
4.4. This is 5.3.
which is kind of weird because I'm used to the darker ones being a little heavier.
Right.
So,
It's going to feel heavier.
and it won't taste like this at all.
Yeah.
So,
But I figured we got to go day to night because on the next episode, Irish Red time.
already?
Already.
Well, shit, it is
1 month.
It is mid-February.
Yeah, 1 month till St. Patrick's Day.
Well, days are longer. I mean, this is good though, because it's winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's just like, man, I'm so glad it's winter. Who says that? Does anyone say that?
Snowboarders.
Oh man, this winter thing is so fucking rad. It's like, get me out of here. Potholes and slush.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
All right. Messing up my shoes.
Oh. Also that. I do like fuzzy socks though.
Yeah, being cozy is great.
Yeah.
But here we are drinking lagers in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to sip on those, talk about a few other spots. I guess I started with Alarmist. The other thing I hit up was Burning Bush.
Okay. The Preacher Man.
Currently the closest brewery to my house until Crust.
Yeah. What's the deal with Crust? You hear anything?
March.
Okay.
It says March.
Okay.
And then I'll probably go to Crust over Burning Bush because Burning Bush is like a dice roll on these beers. Sometimes I like them. Sometimes you're just like, that was not something I needed to drink. And I was feeling that this time. The best thing I drank that night was a non-alcoholic beer from Untitled Arts.
Which is funny. And I think that's the crew. up in Wisconsin. It just got bought by, is it Sapporo or
I think so. And wasn't a
one of the Japanese or one of the Chinese brands? Asahi, maybe? I think it's Asahi.
and wasn't the like the guys who did Freshies, the event
Oh, Hop Review?
Hop Review, those guys weren't they doing Untitled artwork?
Oh.
Or maybe
They did have, they did a refresh for Dry Hop.
Dry Hop, maybe.
So they did have some clients. So
Yeah.
it's very possible.
Yeah, or Stout. Stout is Matt Tanaka's.
Yeah.
I thought he had something to do with Untitled Arts, but maybe I'm mistaken.
They were consultants and they handled I don't know what they did exactly,
Yeah.
but I think they did help with like brand refreshes. The only one that stands out is the Dry Hop one because the Dry Hop guys mentioned like, yeah, Hop Review helped us do this.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm not really sure what their client base was or what their offerings were, but it's very possible because that was their job.
Yeah,
They were consultants, so.
but that was great. I don't often drink non-alcoholic beer. I was just like, I wanted another one, but I didn't want another one, and I was like, I'm gonna try this and just see what it's like. It was great.
Okay.
I'm never gonna pick one. It's one of those things that it was a time and place for it where I want another beer to hang out with everyone, but I didn't just want water. I want it.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you luck out. Like who's the crew that brewed at Great Central, the non-alcoholic crew? They were Canadian, and some of their stuff was pretty good.
Right.
But in general, though, you're taking more L's than W's.
Yeah. I'm not buying it to drink at home,
Yeah.
but out, I guess.
Unless it's the Corona one.
Second episode in a row, Corona one gets mentioned. All right. But those were my two stops. So, what about you, Nick? What have you been up to as I open up a night?
Man, Naperville, Illinois. Hello. I made my way out to Blind. I keep wanting to say Blind Fury or Blind Barber. I don't know why Fury, but Blind Barber is the nightclub. But this is Blind
Corner.
It's the latest project from Eric Hobbs, who, of course, is an alum from Salamoth. And prior to that, he co-founded
Penrose.
with Tom Corder.
And it was like Goose and
he was at
AB.
Goose before that, exactly. Yeah. So I went to check out his latest project. It's at Go Brewing, which is it shares a parking lot with his former employer, Salamoth. So you get to talking, and it sounds like 3 guys from Salamoth left to go start a brewery, basically across the street.
It feels like a dick move.
There's more to this story than was told to us voluntarily, and maybe over some glass of whiskey or something. Maybe more will be told. I'm very curious to know how this all played out. But yeah,
Right. I feel like it's either very like leaving on good terms, or it's very like fuck you, we're going across the street and we're gonna steal your business kind of thing.
I think the precedent for this was Moore, and the reason for it behind it at Moore was that Moore was opening other locations and didn't bother. I wouldn't say ask the brewmaster, but didn't bring the brewmaster along in the plan at all.
Sure.
Just said, hey, we are the owners. We're doing this. Even though you're making all the beer, that's cool. But we're deciding that we're going to open it's going to be like Chili's in this bitch, and we're going to open like 4 of these places.
So you got to brew more beer.
And that's the end of it. And the guys don't have anything to say. And I think that, that obviously led to a walkout over there.
Even though Phase 3 did the exact same thing, open up all these spots to brew more beer.
Oh, they do. They do have a brew pub, and it's a tap room. It's less than 2 miles from the original Moore that they all worked at, which is pretty hilarious.
So theirs is like, fuck you, but we did the same thing. You were right.
Well, they're right in the sense that they open more locations, yes. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm referring to the part where
Not included.
not being included. That's
Right.
I think I'm
Everyone
talking
just
about
wants to be in the room where the
Right.
decision's made. Or
You'll have a share, you'll have a vote. It won't be the deciding vote.
What's the Hamilton line? Like in the room where the talk is made. I forget.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
like that.
So good. My kid dragged me to that. It's actually really funny. It's really good line.
Okay, and so beers had to be top notch, right?
Yeah, so these are the guys that the year that Salomo / Hidden Hands won Faux Bad Best in Show, the Orval tribute. This guy made that beer, and he was focused on a lot of Hidden Hands beers. So the beers I had were great. They had 10 beers on. Honestly, I think I only had the extra pale ale, and
Okay.
I dug it. I got it twice. It was clean. It was very flavorful. It was really good.
Damn.
A lot of the guild guys were there, show up to support. Saw Marty from Rev. He was there. I think the ABV Chicago guys were there.
Okay.
So just a nice little crowd of the brewers and of other guild members, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, this is interesting. I think the conversation was that, hey, we interviewed Solemn Oath and Hidden Hands, and you talked about City Water, but Hidden Hands was the project that was supposed to be straight from the brewery directly to retailers. They didn't want to go through a distributor, and that was the whole point of creating this brand, Hidden
Right.
Hands.
Fresh beer to the people.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think part of the rift over at Solemn was that the powers that be decided that Heaven Hill, that Hidden Hands was going to be a brand that was sold to distributors, and that was against the spirit of what the original intent was.
Okay.
So that sounds like it would have been a reason it triggered future events. It sounds like.
How does the consumer get the beer if it doesn't go to distributor? They have to go to Solemn Oath or Still Life, right?
If it doesn't go to distributor,
Right.
yeah, you got to show up and get it, or you can get it through the same retail channels. It's just that the way it gets there is different because Solemn or Hidden Hands has to hop in a van and drop it off themselves. So it's not going to sit in the warehouse. It just goes straight from the brewery directly to bars and restaurants.
Okay.
And stores.
Do you think they didn't have the people, or the demand got too big for that stuff? Because basically, you see just as much Hidden Hands as you see Solemn Oath.
I think Hidden Hands, we were saying a little bit earlier, I think Hidden Hands was probably in more demand than the Solemn Oath stuff.
Right, because Solemn Oath feels like old beer now.
And in general, right? Like you go from, most breweries, they go from a point of self-distro in the beginning to, hey, we're big enough to now have a distro. So just to move in general, like, we went from a self-distro to selling to a distributor, kind of, it implies that maybe we've got more of a demand and maybe we need to level up the amount of people to get this beer.
Yeah.
So that's what it sounds like.
And how do you get people to know about the beer if it's not in the store? So then you need you need more beer out there, which the distributor often helps with, to then help you sell more beer, right?
Yeah, because the Hidden Hands, when it won FOBAB, I thought it was a Solemn Oath beer, but it was listed as a Hidden Hands beer, that Orval Tribute, whatever it was called.
That was always a Solemn Oath beer, but like you said, it won.
And
I thought 2 years ago when that first showed up at Beer Under Glass,
that same beer?
I thought that was a Solemn Oath beer.
I was surprised that it was listed as a Hidden Hands beer.
I could go back maybe on photos
Yeah.
and possibly see it. Maybe it was a Hidden Hands beer, but I don't even think there was a Hidden Hands at that time, and it was a Solemn Oath beer.
It's got to be tricky, right? Because like what you're saying is, hey, we have to, one brand's 10 years old, the other brand is brand new. How do we go about letting people know about it?
Right, when we brew on the same system.
And it's the same crew, same but different. How do we sell this?
Right.
So
be like, oh, that beer's not selling as Solemn Oath. What if we just put Hidden Hands on it? And I bet it was like experimenting. It's like, oh, this beer sells better with the Hidden Hands name on it.
So, yeah, I think so it sounds like things changed at Solemn Oath, and maybe that led to Hop starting his own thing with Blind Corner.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like. So, good for him,
And so they will be forever, or like currently at Go Brewing Space. It's not Blind Corner Space. It's Go Brewing Space that Blind Corner's in.
Yeah, because Go Brewing has capacity offsite. They started a production facility with, I believe, Noon Whistle. I always confuse Noon Whistle and Pollyanna.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why, but I always confuse those two. But it's one of them. I want to say Noon Whistle.
Yes.
They have a production facility, contract brewing. So Go Brewing is in packaging, and they're focusing on all 50 states. So Go Brewing is not really brewing there. So Solemn Oath
But it's the Go Brewing tap room.
It's still Go Brewing's tap room.
How long till Blind Corner goes like, cool, either like you take over the spot or, just put your name on it and you just give us a little like 10% kickback here.
There's two main walls. You know, the wall where the taps are, but then the other main wall has a giant blind corner logo on it. So it's definitely, they feel like, it doesn't feel like a temporary residence. You know, it doesn't feel like, it feels like they're being hosted. You know,
It's a hostile takeover.
it feels like this is the beginning of them maybe just taking the space over. That's what it feels like. Yeah, but we'll see.
Interesting. Okay.
It was cool. You know, I don't really get to name reveal that much. It was good to see everybody, saw the guild folks.
Yeah. You sent me a text while you were there, and I mentioned Beer in the Glass. You had a breaking Beer in the Glass news.
Yeah, this just in. They're talking about ending their relationship with the Great Hall at Union Station.
Okay.
And they're talking about moving Beer in the Glass. They have a date, May 9th. Beer in the Glass will be held at the Harris Theater, which is basically Millennium Park. It's a theater that has a rooftop. It's a 4,000 person theater that has a rooftop, and the rooftop is where Beer in the Glass would be.
But it's kind of outside, right? There's an inside-outside part to it.
Yeah, there's a covered part, like open air thing, but it's pretty much an actual rooftop.
Which I guess when Beer in the Glass was at the Garfield Conservatory, it was an indoor-outdoor thing.
Yeah, because
It's never cold.
the Bluestone Terrace, all the stuff in the back. Yeah,
It's never cold. It's just sometimes miserably rainy.
Yeah.
Like it's wet.
Yeah.
It's not cold, but it's like this weather sucked.
May is tricky.
Yeah.
May is definitely
So if it's
tricky.
all covered,
Yeah, well, most of it is, and I think the covered part, I believe, is glass. I think that's where they're like,
Okay.
hey, this still works.
that's interesting.
You know.
And we're drinking out of this half acre. It was what was their event that was there?
It was called Far and Away. Half Acre threw an invitational there, and they had all the cool kid breweries from coast to coast.
One of the great events. There are a few events that are talked about in the scheme of things. I think this half acre beach party we never went to.
The Sands, they call it.
We never went there.
No, I didn't get into that.
This Far and Away event.
Yeah.
Metro 10-year party is one. And I don't know, there's probably a few others.
You could
that
throw
are,
the Big North in there if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Because of the combo of the day. That's one of the coolest days we've had.
Big North.
Shit, I think it was the last Big North, wasn't it?
Right, that was Big North and Evanston.
Oak Park.
Micro Brew Review.
This might have been like 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's few events that like, I don't know, are like, oh my God, that was such a good one and Far and Away. And that space was great. We'll see if Beer in the Glass can. I think that feels more fitting for the event, but it's smaller than the Great Hall.
According to them, it'll be the same amount of tickets, though. Even
Yeah.
though the space might be smaller.
They are not selling all those tickets, so. But that's a cooler space, so if anyone's looking to go, I would go this time.
And then it challenges you. You know, the cool part about Garfield is that it's on the west side. Like, how many festivals, how many beer events are on the west side? And just in general. You know, like Beer in the Glass kind of challenge you to go somewhere that you typically wouldn't go. Going to the train station, I've been to like the Beer and Bacon Fest at the train station.
Yeah.
I've been to the Chicago Beer Fest. Like just a bunch of, you know, very okay, mediocre events there.
Yeah.
So to go somewhere that we rarely go, and for some people, for a lot of people, it's going to be their first time there. I think that's a way cooler proposition for a party like Beer in the Glass.
Oh, yeah. Sunday Fun Day. That was up there.
Sunday Fun is probably
Goose Island Sunday Fun Day.
if we're that is the tier, right? You know, far and away, the Big North Sunday Fun Day,
This beach thing we never went to.
the beach thing. That's the top tier of events in this town.
Metro 10-year.
In Metro 10-year, that is tier 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, at the very top of that list might be Sunday Fun Day. Sunday Fun Day is ridiculous.
We talked to this guy at FOBAB about this, and he's like, we would love to do it again, but logistically, we just like can't because there's too many like. There's legal things to have everyone in there. It's a huge cluster. It's just like a disaster.
So there's a couple of Well, I'm thinking the big Sunday Funday was at the Goose Warehouse.
Right,
with
with
the
the
dodgeball.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
what I'm thinking.
okay, that's the one.
The other one with the mini golf was cool.
That
but,
was, and that wasn't Sunday, I don't think either.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so we're talking the same thing.
Yeah.
We're talking dodgeball, proper Sunday Funday. Shit was legit as fuck.
Yeah. Anyway, but that sounds like a cool beer under glass this time.
I think so. I had conversations. I had inquiries about, hey, Chicago Craft Beer Week always had an end cap. We've said this a ton on this show. We have a lot of opinions on these events. And, that seemed to fizzle out when it became Illinois Beer Week. And, I don't think there's any plans to have just with the budget at these places the way it is now, just the climate of the way things are now. Like, no one wants to host a closing event.
Yeah.
So.
I think if I was in charge of Illinois Craft Beer Week,
Well,
I would make it Illinois Craft Beer Month. You kick it off in Chicago, and then you do 3 other, like, either big cities or neighborhoods, like West Burbs, South Burbs, Southern Illinois, and then maybe, like, North Burbs. And you do it that way. And you kind of, like, celebrate the areas, but you get the events focused in the areas to get people going to them, excited about them.
and I think that's what they try to do with Friday Night Flights. Like, there's a Friday Night Flights for the auto show. Like, we went to the Friday Night Flights when it was down on, like, 35th Street.
Is Friday Night Fight still happening?
It's happening this weekend, actually.
Oh,
Because
at
auto
the
show.
At the auto show?
Yeah.
Okay.
They try to do that with Wrigleyville's one, Pilsen's one, or Bridgeport, not Pilsen, Bridgeport's one. That's something they try to do with that event.
They stopped inviting us, though, huh?
I'm not going. I haven't heard anything. Not about that event. I mean, I heard about it while I was at Blind Barber, but I didn't.
Blind Corner.
I didn't get an invite to the. I didn't get an invite to auto show. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wait. I forgot. I went to another place. I just remembered. I went to Cultivate.
Oh yeah.
Forbidden Root.
Forbidden Root.
This place is weird.
It
was always weird.
The old Band of Bohemia.
Yeah.
It was weird then.
It was weird then.
It didn't make the beers made sense if you had them there with
Right.
the food. In the context of the food and the place, it made sense. You take that beer to go home, you're like, why am I drinking this fucking peppercorn, sweet potato, whatever the fuck this is? Why am I doing this?
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want this, and you never buy it again.
Yeah.
This place, there was a decent amount of people in there. It was like a Thursday night. We went for dinner.
It's a nice space.
It's a beautiful space. It's great.
Yeah.
The food was like, Maeve and I were talking, my wife, we're talking like, beer went through this phase of like, everything was like chicken wings and tots and stuff like that, right? And then it started like, I don't know, craft beer came in, like a small bar up their menu in small bar division. And
Elevated.
we started to have, I don't know, even like duck fat fries and like chicken confit kind of stuff. And everything got better. And we got rid of these chicken wings and tater tots and stuff like that and sliders. And now everything is smash burgers, some sort of like rosemary fries.
I could go for a nice smash burger.
Yeah, like it's good, but everybody has a smash burger. Everyone has like, I don't know, like a chicken sandwich or a chicken dish. It's boring. And this was Cultivate to the T. Everything was good, but it was so boring that like the meal was fine, the beers are good. What are you guys doing here that I can't get anywhere else?
Oh, it didn't feel special.
It didn't feel special.
So
then the
did you ever eat at Band of Bohemia? I think
Yeah.
I might have ate like one.
And that was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, it doesn't pay tribute to the space.
Right. And then the beers to go, I bought some beer to go. It's expensive. It's coming from Ohio. It's not being brewed in Chicago. It's like $12 a 4-pack, where most 4-packs should be, $9.99, I think. Maybe $11.99. But there's like $12.99. I think I got one because it was a collaboration. It was like $17.99.
It's funny you say this, because I don't want to interrupt the story, but
And so I just felt like you don't even brew the beer here. You have 2 locations. You're trying to be a Chicago brewery that's like not, and you're not adding anything to this neighborhood. Like I could just go to O'Shaughnessy's, get a smash burger and a proper Guinness pint, and probably have just as good a night.
You're at a point now where instead of fucking around with a $9 pour at some brewery, you fuck around and just go get a Guinness, because no matter where you get that Guinness, is gonna be just as good as
Right.
if you got it actually at the Guinness downtown.
Because I got 2 beers. One was very good. One was fine, and I left half of it because I was like, I don't even like this that much. I'm leaving. And I bought beer to go just because it was like a collaboration and it was like a Taylor Swift logo on it. And so I thought it was funny. Oh, that was the one we drank. Maybe I already talked about this.
We did. Now that you said the
Yeah,
Taylor
so
part,
maybe I already talked about it.
we did. We're at a point where, all right, so 10 years ago, if a brewery, so let's say 2015,
Yeah.
if a brewery had been around for 10 years, right, in 2015, that was a brewery you could believe in. You know, whether it's Lagunitas or Three Floyds or Goose Island, the old Clapboard Pub, I don't know who else was around by that time, Peace, right?
Right.
You go to these places because you know, hey, when I go, there's going to be a certain level, and it's going to be a certain level of good, and it's going to be beers that I like.
Right.
But now we're in an era where a crew like these guys, Cultivate, could have been around, or Forbidden Root could be around for 10 years, and it may or may not rock.
Right.
It's the older, the modern 10-year breweries don't offer that same level of comfort and knowing that you can believe in them.
Right.
even though
Like,
they've been around for 10
to
years.
bring up Peace, Peace is like a great example and why they're on my list of like, I think they should just close. They could close at some point, not because
I think you should just close.
I think they could just.
God.
I think the value of the property is more than the place at this point. Not that they're doing anything bad, but everyone in Chicago has now had Peace Pizza, and is it special? Like you're just kind of like, I'm glad it exists. It should exist. I don't want it to go away. It should exist.
You're saying two things. You're saying the opposite. You're saying
Right.
two things.
But I think the
things.
property is like more valuable than the business itself.
So like condos. You want to
Yeah,
see.
I think it just like someone could come in there
Well,
and buy them out.
What about Bro Bagel? Then you're gonna lose out on your Bro Bagel, bro.
That's whatever. I don't even know what they like hardly. They're like not really open. They don't do good coffee.
I went once, and it was because I had driven all night,
Yeah.
and it was the only thing open that early. And I'm like, I do not like this. I'm not going
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
I do like Peace though.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Peace there than like, another place where you go get your dog cleaned or whatever, because that's what it's gonna be.
For sure.
You know?
I agree with this. But we've now been eating Peace Pizza and drinking Peace Beer for over a decade.
I don't mind it. I don't know. I don't mind
But
it.
it's like it's at this point comfort food, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's almost like these like tater tots and wings. I want that back. Bring that back. Where are the like wings and beer places? I'm like, everyone's got smash burgers. Some people doing better than
Man,
others.
these bars, you're at a point now where you might be better off going to your favorite bar than going to your favorite brewery.
Maybe.
Your favorite bar is going to have all the stuff you speak about, and they're going to have beer from everywhere, all across the city, all across the suburbs.
Maybe I just need to go to a bar.
I think we might be back into that. That might be a more attractive play for people who like beer and food.
Right. I just want to sit at the bar. I don't want to overpay for everything, and I just want to talk to the bartender and have my wings.
Yeah.
And watch whatever's on TV that I don't really care about. It could be The Simpsons. It could be a Utah Jazz game. It could be.
That's Utah Jazz. That's funny. No, because there's a guy who goes around and his latest run is like wings, right, on IG. And he went to Floyd's Pub, which is, I know exactly where it is because it's not too far from Map Room. And I'm like, and he's praising these wings. These are grade A wings. The sauce is unique. I love this place. It's fresh and everything's good. And I was thinking to myself, I've never been to Floyd's Pub, and maybe that's what maybe we're at a point now where in our beer journey, like, hey, maybe pubs is a better place to drink than some of these breweries.
If lagers have come back into fashion, we're just going full circle, and it's like, oh, we just need to go back to bars with their pictures of us. We need pictures. Bring the picture back. Anyway, what do you think about this Lezak by night?
I like this one a little bit better.
Oh, interesting.
I just like that darker malt in the lager format.
All right. But yeah, Band of Bohemia, realizing I had already talked about this, probably rehashed some of this, but
Yeah, I think some of the argument there amongst the people who are selling the beer to go at this place is that, you're incentivizing people to drink the beer there, right? So like if you go to, I'll just use this Band of Bohemia or Forbidden Root as an example. If the 4-pack is $11, right?
yeah.
What are you gonna do if you live in that neighborhood? Are you gonna come drink one for $8 at the bar, or are you gonna get the 4-pack for 11 and
Right.
then leave? So from the economic standpoint, like they have to, they gotta charge 13 out the door.
That's true, yeah.
You gotta incentivize people to stay.
Right.
I think that's what I was trying to say earlier.
And last week we drank that Friendship one. I only got it because of the collaboration and the Taylor Swift thing, and so I thought it was fun. If I saw it in the store, I would not pick it up because it's an Ohio brewery. It's 2 Ohio breweries, so
Yeah.
anyway. Whew. All right, those are our spots.
Yeah.
In the beer news, we got a opening, not a closing this time.
Yeah, we got opening.
Pilot project.
Pilot Project 3. They have the original one in Logan. Then they opened up in Milwaukee. It's the old Pabst location.
Yeah.
And now they're opening in Wrigleyville.
I don't understand how this works. Basically, was it Moore's or was it Funky Town that was at? It was
Funky Town.
It was Funky Town.
Funky Town.
And then Lunar Booch was at Pilot Project. Donna's Pickle Beer. Beyond that, who's at Pilot Project?
Yeah, all their house beers, right?
What, Brewer's Kitchen,
Exactly.
which is Pilot Project, because Pilot Project wasn't selling, and I think they realized that if you just made up a name, it sells better than the house named beer, because everyone's like, well, I want to try someone else's beer.
Yeah. And then there's a couple other folks in there. I think Standard Goods is another house beer now. And then
So they just make house beer, but call it different
under
name?
different names. Yeah, they got house brands under different names.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the District Brew Yards thing works better than the Pilot Project.
Just
Right.
as far as places you want to go visit.
Places I want to go. Yeah,
Okay.
I want to go. I also think District Brew Yards makes better beer than Pilot Project does. But I like the experience District Brew Yards brings. It's different over District Brew Yards. And I think in Wrigleyville, District Brew Yards would have been a super smart decision.
Pour your own damn beer.
You would have made so much money because you have drunk Cubs fans before or after the game pouring and just fucking up their pours, right?
Can you? Yeah, that's true.
Because everyone who goes to the West Loop location, they're very like careful. They're like testing, getting little tests, and like, but
At the Wrigleyville location, you probably can't even have glass.
oh yeah,
You cannot have glass, and they're gonna go crazy.
you're just gonna see someone at the tap just pouring.
And that's true. Part of the aesthetic, like at the Logan one, I've only been to the one in Milwaukee for events, but the Logan one is it's a classy joint almost. We did the interview there, but they got Teku glasses for the most part.
Right. I like their table ordering system.
And it's very nice. It's very relaxed. It's very, it's like there's couches. It almost feels like a modern library or like a modern like shared office space or
That's
something.
true, yeah.
So how do you translate that into Wrigleyville? Because on game day, none of that stuff works. None of that stuff works on game day.
Right.
It's gonna be wild as fuck over there. This is Wrigley. It's ground zero for obnoxious behavior.
That's true. And I would also say, like, some of it's not as true as it was because it's so many people from the suburbs that come in now.
I think that holds even truer. They've been in this fucking cab,
But they
ripping
go
shots of vodka the entire Uber.
Yeah,
Uber
they go
X.
like way hard I guess maybe they just go hard before the game, have one beer at the game, and then just sober up to drive home. Like that's
Okay.
how I think people go. Because I've gone to a bar after the game, empty. It's like dead.
That's funny.
Like no one is there after games.
So maybe this is just in my head how these things.
It
are.
used to be.
Okay.
But
Or
now
maybe-
I think
maybe
it's
that
like
too.
people coming in. But I think it still happens on certain, probably like weekend games. It's probably like crazier. But yeah, how do you have this like library aesthetic order at your table when everyone's like, give me 18 old styles, picture of the brewer's kitchen thing.
Yeah. How does it work? I'm mildly curious to see how this works. I
Right.
kind of want to go check it out. But yeah, they're opening just in time for baseball season.
Oh.
Their location. So it's right down.
Are
street
they are they
Alamo.
brewing there?
I don't know. This was a Block Club article, and I couldn't really make out if it was a satellite location, like a like a satellite tap room, or it's actually a brewery.
Okay.
I don't know. But they got that big ass brewery up in Milwaukee, so I would imagine.
It's just a satellite thing.
Yeah, that's what I think. But we'll see. But good for them. They're opening another location.
Right. And then Diversity House is fully open now.
I did go to Diversity House after. I went to Cider Summit.
Oh.
I went to Cider Summit and went to Diversity House. Why did I forget about that?
Oh, I didn't even see any pictures.
Because that's probably why. Because I didn't really take a lot of pictures. Cider Summit they moved it upstairs to the Lakeview Terrace. It's just like the little upstairs above the ballroom. So the ballroom was not an option this year.
So there's like no one there.
It was.
was
That's
like-
where the first one was.
Oh.
So it went back to the original location.
But that seems much smaller.
I thought that too, but then when you're up there, like, oh, that's actually a pretty big space. It's just not as it's not a wide room. It's a long room, right? So, but I'm like, man, that's a lot of fucking people here.
Really?
No, it is not as big as the ballroom.
What's the
Let's start
cider summit crowd look like?
there. That was brunch.
It's brunch.
This is a brunch crowd, for sure. Like groups of chicks, with the big boots, a couple bros, a lot of couples.
Yeah.
So very brunch.
Okay.
Yeah, very brunch. I'm like, I didn't think this many people even still drank cider. Let me start there.
Right.
This place was fucking packed. They did a good job of having a lot of cocktails there. So there was a gin and tonic water cooler from these people, Forge Gin. I don't know anything about Forge Gin, but they had they had a cooler for water, but instead of water, it was gin and tonic. That was cool. Benny's didn't even bother bringing cider. They just brought 4 different apple brandies aged in bourbon barrels.
Okay.
Uncle John's, they brought. I think we tried the apple brandy. I don't know if it was out. Other than that, then you get into your whole, go try everybody's cider
Yeah.
thing.
Who are our big cider people? We got Virtue, and I don't even see Virtue anymore.
Virtue, Vandermill, Eris, and then a lot of people from either the coast, like East Coast,
Yeah.
or West Coast, or Colorado.
Blake's.
Blake's.
Is that that's a Molson Coors, right?
Crispin is definitely Molson Coors. Blake's might be too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Angry Orchard is also.
Angry Orchard. That's Sam Adams. Cider as a category, and some of them are like really farmhousey, kind of tannic, right? Kind of, esoteric, right? Like it tries to be more like wine and be more nuanced.
Yeah.
Some of it is more just, it's a lot heavier
Sugar.
and sugary and carbonated, kind of like your, basically like carbonated apple juice kind of thing.
Okay.
So, I drank a lot of apple brandy that day.
But okay.
But there,
Was it Meads this time?
I didn't see any meats. But they do make it a point. There's one booth, and this has got to be by design. One booth will come up and say, hey, you need to try all of these at once. So it's more of a presentation. So this year, it was this guy. His name's Eric Bordelais. He has a Normandy farm that's like 300 years old. And then he's a guy he's a sommelier that really wanted to raise the level of like Perry and cider.
Yeah.
So he's the reason that, according to the guys pouring you the cider, he's the reason that this restaurant in Paris was the first 3-star Michelin star restaurant in Paris, was in part because he was anchoring this cider program there.
Interesting.
So he's got a bunch of different stuff to try. And to his credit, those things were a lot more layered in flavor than the other stuff we tried.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't know if I'm as jazzed about, picking out different notes in cider.
I would be almost interested. I know not all apples are good for cider, but almost like hops, like trying like this is this apple, this is this apple, this is this apple. You can kind of see what the difference is, and I think that would be fun to try.
I did learn a couple things. They do say, like, to your point, a lot of the apples that they use are inedible. Like, if you ate them, they'd be bitter and gross. But
Sure.
those are the ones that are excellent for making cider. But then also, like this guy, Eric Bordelais, he's like, yeah, we rest these for 5 weeks before we use them. I'm like, what does that mean?
The apples?
Yeah. I'm like, you mean like you rested on yeast for 5 weeks? Like it ferments for 5 weeks? He's like, no, we rest them. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, oh, we just put them in oak crates and we let them rest.
The apples?
Yeah.
In like a nice bed. Read them stories.
Oak bed.
Every night.
Maybe play them a little Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
And we let them sit for like 2 months, basically, or a month and a half. And I'm like, and
Just
that
relax.
just relax,
Apples.
calm,
Relax.
be cool. And then some of the water evaporates and it concentrates the flavors. It reduces it brings out the sugars more. The residual sugars come to the forefront. So it's a better apple for going into the cider
Stressed out
process.
apple. Not good.
So, and then, there's ice cider and then there's Pommeau. So ice cider is just like what it sounds. It's made off frozen concentrate. But Pommeau is basically apple brandy. So it's distilled. It starts as an apple brandy. And then apple brandy is going to be, 40% ABV or whatever. So then fresh juice is added to bring it back down to 16. So Pommeau and ice cider are the same ABV. Vastly different flavor profiles. Ice cider is very desserty. It's almost too fucking sweet. It's almost syrup.
It's like the Pommeau was more.
Pommeau is more where you want to be.
Interesting. Okay.
So you learn little stuff like that.
But you're not drinking more cider.
I'm drinking apple brandy the whole time.
But in general.
Oh, in general, no.
You're not leaving the cider summit with their goals. It's probably to get people to drink more cider, but you're like, I've had my cider for the year.
For sure. If I saw, and if this is my only time in Navy Pier for the year too.
Yeah.
But if I saw that one guy, if I saw his cider at a restaurant, I'd be tempted to order it if it wasn't.
Maybe you're at Northman on the river.
Oh yeah, so cheers to the Northmen because I was asking the guy because the guy who Cider Brian is his name and he works at Cider John.
With Grandpa Cider.
With Grandpa Cider up in Johns, Michigan.
Right.
Oh, but he does the program at the Northman.
Oh, cool.
I'm like, how much of a sacrifice was it to go from basically your own restaurant in Lincoln Square, right?
To a 3 month.
Yeah. And he's like, man, we make triple the money. And
Right, that's what we've heard, yeah.
he's like, we make triple the money and like a quarter of the time. And I'm like, oh, that's right, because you could charge, it's fucking Navy Pier. You could charge what you want, basically. And it's like, and there's no competition really for what they're doing.
It is cool hanging out there, and they do have a nice selection of beers and like slushy things. The bee situation is out of control there.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem.
That's funny.
So many
It's
bees.
not something you think about.
Bees everywhere.
Because I've seen it. Because like there's a lot of boats you can board, like the little architecture boats. They all board right there. But I'm like, good for him. Because I thought, hey, you might have to, you work less, but then you also might make less. That's what my thought was. He's like, no,
Work less and make more.
Work less, make more. I'm like, my man, he's got it figured out, man.
Damn. Nice. All right.
So that was cool, man.
I think the only other thing you mentioned was the Brewpub Shootout, right?
Oh yeah, Brewpub Shootout over at Half Acre. Yeah, so this is the 26th annual Brewpub Shootout.
I've been one time.
I've actually never been. Let's
This
see.
is a guild. No, this is a beer society.
Yeah,
event.
Chicago Beer Society. So it's a beer and food pairing, and if you don't have a restaurant, you just pair with a.
How is anyone finding out about the beer society anymore?
Right? I think it's the same people that just go all the time.
Jeff Sparrow and Steve Hamburg.
It's an intense competition on a Saturday where everyone brought their A game, Brad. This is according to the Instagram message. They do 3 categories: best beer, best food, and best pairing. So
Okay.
where you want to start? Something in mind.
Let's work backwards. Best pairing.
Best pairing. All right. They do first, second, and third. And Third Street is other half, Ramova. So they did a coffee lager with a beer masu. That was third place. Second place was Moore. We talked about them.
Okay.
Saganaki Pecora. I have no idea what that is. Sounds like cheese though.
Okay.
With a Czech Pilsner. And number 1 is
Ooh, I
Church
like
Street.
hot cheese. Church Street.
Church Street has an Irish roll and a Black Swan dry Irish stout. What's an Irish roll?
It's like a corned beef
Oh.
egg roll.
Oh, okay. Irish roll. What's that, man? Okay. That's best pairing. So in food,
I didn't know Church Street had Irish beer.
the dry Irish stout called Black Swan.
I want the Reds. I don't want these.
No more dry Irish stouts. In food, it was Church Street, Flipside, then Moore.
Oh, flip side.
Flipside won for a BLT smash burger slider.
BLT smash burger.
That was second place. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good.
And then for beer, it
That
was-
flip side one, that smash burger is great. They make a great Irish red. If that's on the menu, I might have to go there.
Tinley Park, man, and you can go to
What? Am I gonna go to Hailstorm?
and,
gross.
and then go to
Maybe Soundcrawler?
Soundgrowler. That's your 3.
I'm not going to Hailstorm. That is
Okay.
not great.
Okay. And then best beer.
Okay.
Art history, Unani, and Off Color. Off Color took first place for Critters, a native fermented wit.
What did Dune and E get?
Unani, El Zacatan, which sounds like a Mexican imperial stout. Yeah, Art history came up with a fasten beer. I'm not sure what that is. What's a fasten beer, man?
Dune and E, I have I love the space.
Unani or
Yeah, Dune and E space. Like that space is great in the summer.
yeah, they've been focused on barbecue a lot, brisket, smoking things.
It's fine. It's not top tier barbecue. It's fine. But the space is nice.
Need to work on the slicing. A little too thick on the slicing for me.
Oh, okay. It's a good bikeable spot. Check out the Leaning Tower of Skokie over there.
Niles.
Niles.
And they got outdoor.
Yeah, so it's a cool spot.
It's a good spring spot.
Anything else we want to comment on or besmirch before we get out of here?
I think that's it, man.
What are you planning to hit up?
Man, this weekend, it'd be nice to do something, man. It'd be nice to do something I haven't done in a while. I'm kind of drawing a blank on what that is. I'm just going to, let my...
See what happens.
Yeah, we'll just let it go where it goes.
Yeah, I don't know. The flip side sounds interesting. There's just a lot of spots in Chicago that need to go check out, right? It's tough. I don't know. No plans currently, so I'm with you. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
All right. You liked By Night the best?
I think so. I give it the slight edge.
I think I like Day better.
Okay.
I'm a day man. You're a night man?
I think so.
All right. That'll do it. Take care.
Cheers.